Check me out right here, yo.
Yo, the sun don't shine forever, but as long as it's here, then we might as well shine together. Better now than never. Business before pleasure. P. Diddy in the family.
Yes. Yes, business before pleasure. A little P. Diddy. Mike has no idea what that music is. He didn't move his head. He didn't bob. He didn't weave. He just sat there like, what am I supposed to do with this?
I'm typing a tweet promoting our Blab here. Right?
Woo, man. Next time, I'll have a little large whelp for you.
Yes.
I'd rather
remember Large Whelp?
I prefer Flo Rida, if you can work that out for me.
Oh, you got a little Flo Rida love, do you?
Bring them on, baby.
All right. Mike's stepping up, man. Look, living in St. Louis, I would have thought at least some of that good hit rubbed off on you. Isn't it Nelly from St. Louis?
Yes, he is.
See, right?
His niece at my kid's school. He shows up once in a while with his entourage.
No doubt. Dude, you got to get connected to Nelly, man.
I'll introduce you if that would help you.
Yes, I want him on the show. I want to get him on the show.
You want to sing Hot in Here or Number One, or what should we sing?
I want to talk to him about how he does what he does and how he got to where he was. That's what I wanted. Oh, dude, me and him, we'd have it going on.
All right, so I will see what we can come up with.
Oh, yes, dude. Now, this will be a true test of your sales skills.
All right, I'll work on it.
Yeah. All right. I give you all the content you need. A young brother out there in the sales world, bring a little hip hop to the straight up. Oh, we could do some good love with this. All right, Mike. No pressure.
No.
All right. Well, listen, everybody. Welcome to The Word episode. Oh, my goodness gracious. What are we on? Episode what? 22. All right. Episode 22. We have the brilliant and the smart and the funny and the blunt, straight out of St. Louis, my boy, Mike Weinberg, and author of Sales Management Simplified. Super, super glad to have him. Folks, as many of you have noticed, this is a new structure. We're on Blab for the first time. So it's a little new. We've had to change up the method a little, but that's okay. We're ready to go. We're ready to make it happen. Why do we change it up? Real quick. We changed it up because we want more engagement. We think engagement is critical. We wanted to give those of you who are watching live an opportunity to actually talk and virtually touch and hug our guests and get into their head. We didn't want to be the only ones controlling it. We want it to be more fluid. We want it to be more engaging. So that's why we switched it up. So everybody, welcome my main man, Mike. Mike, glad to have you, baby.
Hey, I'm honored and a little scared to be with you live, Keenan. Let me be just honest.
What scares you? Tell me.
I knew you'd be sporting the plaid today, and I'm not cool enough to kind of pull out your plaid, but I went close. I went as plaid as I could get for you, all right?
You went vertical plaid.
I'm vertical, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. All right, everybody. Also, as always, I got to give love to my girl, Kiki. She's in the dark room. We got to get you a light, Kiki. Get a little more light on that beautiful face of yours. Right? I know. So, Kiki, thank you. I don't think we have any house cleaning, so we're going to jump right in. Look, the topic of today's show is sales leadership. Okay? Now, I love this because I believe it always starts at the top. One of the things, I'm going to sort of lob this out there, Mike, I'm going to let you run with it. But one of the things I found most fascinating, and I challenge anybody listening, go look at a job description. Go look at the any of the information or any of the information that a recruiting firm is looking for when it comes to hiring anybody that's not an individual contributor, and count how many times, if at all, part of the job description asks for leadership. Ask how many times you've sat in a going for a leadership position. Ask them to, and ask yourself how many times they actually ask you what your leadership approach or methodology was, how you embrace leadership, how much expertise you have in growing and developing your own leadership. It's almost non-existent. But yet, the most important job after you're no longer an individual contributor, whether you're in sales, accounting, freaking finance, I don't give a damn, the most number one trait is leadership. So we're going to break it down tonight. So Mike, what do you think about it? Is that true? Why is that?
Yeah, leadership's number one. One of my mentors said this to me very early on when I was in consulting. He said, if it's not working at the top, it's not working. And he said, as goes the leader, so goes the rest of the team. And the level of the team rarely exceeds the level of the leader. And you take all that leadership stuff and you throw it into the mix when it comes to sales, and it's part of the reason we have such a challenge in sales organizations today. Jim, let me just say this one thing as we get going, because I'm gonna confess right up front. In my early days when I first got into consulting and coaching, I was young and naive and a little arrogant, and I really thought if we coached up salespeople to sell like we could sell, right? Like you and me and our buddies that are in this business, that we could transform organizations and create long-term, sales performance improvement. And I will be very honest, I learned the hard way that doesn't work. You don't transform organizations by coaching up the people in the middle. The only way to transform it is to deal with the culture and the leadership. And that's really what changed my business a few years ago when I got so frustrated banging my head on the wall because I wasn't proving the skills and the results of a handful of salespeople, but not the organization as a whole. And that's what got me down this journey to really, really dig in on sales leadership and sales management.
So kind of like the Patriots.
Wow.
Just saying.
Well, you know what? You are my fantasy football rival and nemesis. And you did beat me again this year.
Yeah, I was like even last, so I had the worst fantasy football luck on the planet.
Yeah, I know you did. Yeah, because you had a lot of points, but you always played someone that was hot. And I didn't have many points, but I won a lot of games. I was lucky. But Jim, you've brought up to me. I don't know. We've been buddies for 5 years or so. You've always brought up Belichick and the system and the culture and Robert Kraft giving the organization what it needed, and Belichick having the freedom to run and do his primary job and not getting caught up in all kinds of crap. So I think it's a heck of an example, honestly. Compare that to the crap I have in St. Louis. Let me rephrase that. To the crap we used to have in St. Louis until that pig owner got up and moved to Los Angeles 2 days ago. This city's like in a little bit of a funk right now. But you know what? There was no way to win on that. They had the losingest record over the last dozen years in football. And I don't care who the players you put on that field were. They weren't going to win because it was a losing organization with poor leadership, period.
What's interesting, I can't prove this out. We're getting slightly sidetracked, but it's okay, is I think it started in the back office or the front office. I'd mess it up because I think your new coach is actually making progress. Jeff, what's his face? Out of Tennessee. I think he's making progress in spite of the organization. I mean, you may not, but I like Jeff Fisher. I think he's doing a decent job. And anyways, I digress. So here's what I want to ask you, okay? Look, I got your book here. For those who haven't seen it, right here. There it is, people. Go get it. Read it. It's phenomenal.
It is pretty.
I've got all kinds of yellow highlighting stuff in it, right? So in typical Keenan fashion, before we get into the high-level stuff, I want to get to the root cause, okay? I'm a contextual thinker. All this stuff is fantastic, but I want you to spend some time talking to us about why does it exist? So basically you say that we have a problem with sales leadership. Why?
How long we got, buddy?
We got an hour, baby.
All right. Well, we may take it on this one question. It's complicated. It runs the gamut from, we have a lot of folks in sales leadership roles today that were never mentored how to do it. And because a lot of the people in management roles today grew up in the new era of toys and tools and email and CRMs, some of the good old school sales management practices where you actually met with people one-on-one, or the manager took it as a source of pride and importance to mentor the young salespeople right under their own tutelage, and it was something that was a priority to develop the selling skills of your people. And you would, if you wanted to know how someone sold, you'd listen to them on the phone, or you'd actually get in their car and get on a plane and go see customers with them. And sure, sometimes you would model what the good behavior was for new people, but then most of what you did as a manager when you were in the field was observe and coach. Watch what they're doing, give feedback. So today we have sales managers that haven't been mentored. They grew up in the era of email and CRMs, and therefore they play desk jockey. They don't manage the team well. They don't lead good team meetings. Examples weren't set for them. But beyond all the things that going on the sales managers do. I think an even bigger issue, Jim, and I'm sure this is going to hit a hot button for you, is we've got companies, big and small, that have forgotten what the sales manager's job is, and they bury the sales manager in all kinds of crap that has nothing to do with leading the sales team. And in the name of collaboration and being a team player and good corporate citizen, you got guys getting dragged into meetings that are about big strategy stuff or production or quality and safety committee, all the nonsense because someone's in management, they should go to all these meetings. Well, all that does is take them away from their sales team. So when your company buries you in crap, and when you weren't mentored and you live behind your desk, think you can lead people by email, which is a total fallacy, which we can get into in more detail after, you have a problem, right? And so you're not coaching, you're not mentoring, you're not really holding people accountable. You're living like as a quantitative mutual fund manager, staring into a screen thinking you can figure out who can sell and who can't and how to develop them. And that's just a piece of the problem right there. I mean, how's that for a start?
It's a good start. And I'm gonna lean into this, and I'm gonna lean in and push harder. You said they've forgotten how to which word you used. The companies have
primary
forgotten.
job. They forget. I think a lot of companies have forgotten the primary job of the sales manager.
Do you think that's true, or do you think there's something else going on? Right? It has something changed fundamentally in our business society that is driving new behavior. So I'm pushing a little. Have they really forgotten?
You're good. Well, no, okay. I think it's easy for me to say they forgot. I think that is one of the cases. I think one of the bigger issues I see, honestly, is we got a lot of companies running very lean, right? So it's very normal to ask one person to do 3 jobs. And I tell a couple crazy stories in the book about sales directors who have 22 direct reports and no admin support, and they do travel planning, and they're going to all kinds of meetings, and it's crazy. I mean, there's so much burden placed on these people because companies are either cheap or they're trying to run lean, and they don't understand the importance of a sales mentor, coach, leader, and they think that the game is more important to go to meetings and just be corporate and keep the CRM up to date and do a lot of emailing, and that'll be okay. So I think cultures change, and we can, we'll get into this problem a little later in terms of time management and all of our addictions. In the old days, right, my manager would come with me. He didn't have a phone with him. He wasn't in my car, thumb scrolling through all these emails, or people all day long weren't calling you, giving you work to do, or texting you. When you were with somebody, you're with them. Mm-hmm. And you would call and check voicemail a few times a day. And that's how we kept in touch. There were some things there were things about those old days that are actually better, if you ask me, right? I mean, obviously I love the tools and the toys, but the life we live today, where we're instantly accessible and constantly checking, where we can never block out time to do high value stuff, that all plays into it. But I digress. I think companies have forgotten, but I think also they're cheap and they're lean and they're trying to get the most out of their sales manager, and they don't know the best thing that person should be working on to drive revenue. So they just keep piling more crap on them.
Okay. So good. I'm going to push. I'm going to lean even more now. Okay. What about fear? Fear of failure, fear of hitting the number. How much does that play a role? So in other words, the company said to me, I have to hit a number. The company said to the street, they have to hit a number, right? Oh. So now all this pressure is put on, where are you? Where are you? Show me this report. Show me that report. Are you going to make it? Are you going to do this? How much does that play with this idea that I can't fail, so I am going to be on top of you, and you're going to prove to me every day, every week, every month that you're doing the right things?
Yeah, it's an untenable situation. And as soon as you said the word the street, obviously then we're talking about larger companies. When we got public, we got quarters we got to make, and that's a whole other dynamic. But, Jim, I see the same thing, though, in smaller companies that aren't public. They're even family-held businesses where the manager is buried. I think it's a different kind of fear and pressure. I think part of the issue that you're describing is a little bit like the NFL. The tenure of a sales manager in a large company is very short, right? They got a couple years at most to really produce, or they're gone. So they feel this pressure because the people above them are driving it down, and you know how stuff flows downhill. And I think there's a panic that sets in, which leads to getting emails at 4 a.m. on a Sunday morning. I mean, what is worse than waking up on a Sunday morning and having an email that's 3 hours old from your sales manager who is panicked because his boss is asking for numbers and he wants to know where you are on something, even though you freaking did your job and you updated the CRM, but they can't get exactly what they want out of the CRM. So now they got to email you and you got to go through it again. And I want to we'll talk about CRM, I'm sure, at some point during this hour. But yeah, I think fear, it's fear, and no one operates well when they're scared. And it's pressure. You look at, I was thinking of the Cardinals manager, Mike Matheny, and some of the really top producers. Look at Joe Madden. Let's talk about the Cubs. Look at the fun and the culture and how loose he tried to keep his team to get maximum performance out of them, because he knew that's how you perform. It's the opposite of the kind of situation you're describing.
You know, it's interesting. I don't want to bring Belichick in there because I don't think Belichick has a fun environment. But for some reason or somehow, he's created an environment where people feel accountable without being afraid. And I think that's anybody listening here who's really good at that stuff as a writer, I think there's a book there when it comes to Belichick, because he's been able to create an environment where people feel 100% accountable. And it's not that much fun, like as far as having a good time, but it doesn't feel there's a lot of fear. And so I like this fear piece. I'm going to put this out there. I didn't do the research, but I'm going anecdotally. I think that corporations and companies operate far too often from fear. And operating from fear drives people in a position of constantly trying to eliminate that fear and validate that fear. And the way they do it is by constantly checking, and they never let things get to the end. They never have trust things going to work out. And so they just coat the whole company in this blanket of fear that prevents anything good from happening.
Oh my gosh, Jim. So can we go down another path, long as you brought that up? So let's talk about the emotion of a salesperson, and how culture plays into that. And one of the things I like to say is, and it's not because I have anything against accountants, although I think there are a lot of jealous accountants and finance people that like to torture salespeople with commission deductions and jerking around with pay, and that's another conversation. But you could be a miserable accountant working in a very high-pressure environment and do great accounting work, right? You could hate your job and not have your heart engaged as an accountant, but every month put out accurate, on-time financial statements. But show me the miserable salesperson who's tortured and working in an environment like you described, right? Whose heart is not engaged, who doesn't have passion. Show me the high-performing salesperson who doesn't love their job. They don't exist. So one, if you're a top producer and you work a crappy culture like that, you're going to leave because there are no unemployed great salespeople. There are so few of them. But even if you're not the top guy who has the freedom, who's getting recruited to go somewhere else, tell me how you're going to do a job selling, wooing a prospect, pushing past resistance, having passion about your company and your solution. In sales, you got to wanna. And when the environment is wrong, and the culture is not only kicking you in the ass, but also encouraging your heart, kind of culture you're describing where there's fear, you're not going to have good sales performance. It's impossible. You cannot remove the emotional part. And that's part of the consequence of the type of leadership that you're describing in other companies where sales management is a disaster.
Why do you think I had my own business? I got tired. Yes, I got tired of the clowns in my grill constantly telling me how to do it, or tell me to do it this way, hurry up and get it done, or where's my report when I'm trying to get the team selling and they want me to do some stupid report. I have a client, it's so funny, and real quick because you'll like this. I had a client, and when I went in, I have a great relationship with a big Fortune 10 or Fortune 20 company, and her team was telling me that they had to do these reports every day. And I said, show me the reports. They showed me the reports. And this was this spreadsheet, I'm going to say I'm making this up, but roughly 20 by 30 row columns and 13 or 15 rows across.
In 4-point font.
Yes. And basically, I said, what is this? No, the information was good. So listen, people, I'm not bashing reports. The information was good. But I looked at the senior vice president of sales and I said, why do you make them give this to you? Well, I need to know where we are. I know what we need to do. And I said, wait a minute. Have you ever done anything with one of these reports? Well, no, I just want to know where we are. So, okay, so what you're saying is you're not going to react to any of this information. So why the fuck are you wasting an hour and a half of everybody's day trying to get this shit done? And so I have this new phrase now. A report is only as good as your willingness to react or respond to it.
Amen.
Right? And you know who does that the best?
Preach.
A car dashboard. Why do we have speedometers? What's a speedometer's goal?
Tell you where you are, how fast you're going right now.
No. This is my whole point. This is good. No, it's not to tell you how fast you're going. What's it there for?
Keep you from getting a speeding ticket.
No.
All right, I'm 0 for 2. What's the answer?
When to speed up and when to slow down. That's why it's so big. We react to it more often, right? Because if you're going too fast, you have to react. If you're going too slow, you have to react again. You see what I'm saying? Why do you think the oil thing is really small? Because you don't have to react to it very often. So there's no value in pushing the oil one in front of you every 15 minutes because you have nothing to react to.
Right.
Same
it's just
thing with
enough
reports.
information to give you what you need, and that's part of the issue with reports. But
Thank you.
But Jim, part of it goes down to if you really think about it, who in the world created a report of that size in a 4-point font that had to get filled out? It wasn't a salesperson.
No.
It wasn't a sales executive. It was some weenie accountant, right? It was someone.
Operations.
It was a company not run by sales people, and was a company probably with an unhealthy sales culture. And I think that's very common.
And you nailed it. It was someone else outside of sales who wanted to be able to report on the numbers all day long. It's what forced everybody else to do these hour and a half a day on a report that nobody was going to react to. But anyway, so I digress. All right, so here's my next question for you. Where do we start? How do we fix the problem? Because I want to get to the specifics here in a minute. But I want to wrap this last piece up. Where does someone who runs an organization or runs a sales organization, where do they start to stop this from happening?
I'm going to give you a 2-part answer, and it's going to sound a little self-promotional, but just work with me. I think the first part is we got to identify. I think we have to identify the causes that are creating dysfunctional sales teams and sales leadership, and that's why I took the risk to spend the whole first half of that book telling tales on real companies and real executives and real sales managers of all the crap, from compensation plans that make no sense to CRM desk jockeys to anti-sales cultures to high ego executives who pontificate or micromanage, to burying the sales manager in crap, to the stupid model of player coach selling sales manager, trying to sell and carry a quota and manage people. That is such a conflict of interest, and you'd have to be schizophrenic to pull that kind of job off. I mean, all these things I'm listing, right, that get in the way, I think we have to identify what they are. And I took a risk by pointing the finger back at the very people who hire me to fix their sales problem. But very often, Jim, when I get called into a company, and it's hard to say this, because a lot of my revenue comes from sales training and coaching. But the truth is, very often the problem that I'm brought in to solve, yes, we can improve the quality of the salespeople. Yes, they can target smarter. They can tell a sharper story. They can articulate better value. They should be able to prospect better, be better socially in terms of networking, connecting. They should run a better sales call, ask better questions, present better, and take control of their calendar. I love talking about all those topics with salespeople. However, and that's a big however, the bigger issues usually emanate from the office of the executive over sales. And it's leadership, it's culture, it's compensation, it's sales roles and talent management, and getting hunters and hunting roles and zookeepers and zookeeping roles, and stop asking zookeepers to pick up a weapon and go hunt because they hate that, and that's a whole other conversation we get into. So part one is let's identify the crap that keeps us from having the high-performance, healthy sales culture and solid talent management and smart sales process we want. That's part one. I think part two is you win the battle by understanding what really is the sales leader's job and what are the highest value activities for a sales leader. And I would argue that the 3 top things, and I just wrote this down for a client who I write an article for every month, the 3 highest value activities for a sales leader, I believe, are one-on-one meetings with your salespeople, where you're doing A, accountability, and B, coaching. Number 2, you're running sales team meetings that are productive, that are about sales, not about operations, not about deliveries, not about quality, but about sales, where you align, equip, energize the sales team. So people leave that meeting better equipped to do their job and with more energy when they walked in. So 1 is one-to-one meetings, 2 is sales team meetings, and number 3 is you work with your people, whether it's in the inside sales bullpen or in a cube or an office or out in the car, in the field. And what's a crime today is if you look at most people in sales management functions, sales management roles, they spend very little time meeting with one-on-one. In fact, regularly managers tell me, I don't have time for that. They do a pathetic job leading sales team meetings where they don't have them at all, or the meetings suck, Or third, they never go out in the field and work with their people and get face-to-face with customers and mentor the folks and model good behavior. So if we looked at all the things that are wrong, and then we went over here and looked at the things we could do to create a high-performance culture, smart compensation, make it fun, create accountability, post results and goals everywhere, and get sales managers meeting one-on-one, running great meetings, and in the field, what would happen to sales results? What would happen?
They'd go down.
I don't agree.
No. Not only would they go up, I think not more importantly, equally as beneficial is, of course, they would go up, but the environment that people are working in, the stress level, et cetera, would change. And so this is the great lead. The culture would change.
Yeah.
So you talk about culture. I think it's your third chapter. I like that it's in the beginning. Talk to us about why is culture so important, and what does a good culture look like?
Yeah, well, I think culture is so important because you can't overcome a culture. All the coaching and training in the world to create effective sellers with good sales skills is not going to overcome a lousy anti-sales culture. And I've been in a lot of companies with anti-sales cultures where I actually had to put in writing to an owner or CEO or senior executive examples of how anti-sales their culture was, where they jacked with pay plans and they would deflect credit from the salespeople and they would do everything possible to pick on the salespeople. And I don't want to get into any more on anti-sales, but every once in a while you find a really healthy pro-sales culture where salespeople are treated appropriately, where they're respected, not picked on. And let me say something about sales culture. A healthy sales culture is not soft. No way. A healthy sales culture is a hard, fun, energized culture, but it's laser focused on results. We're always talking about goals. Results are posted everywhere. Team meetings are brutal. We're hard on each other. We practice like we play. We practice to win. And sales managers get in I'll use your line, right? You get in someone's grill and you challenge them, holding up their results and say, where are you on this? What's happening? This level of performance is not what you can produce. Let's dive into your pipeline. Let me coach you. Let's do some strategy on deals. Let's get after it. So a healthy sales culture, and I took an entire chapter in the book, instead of just listing the characteristics, I actually told the story of the healthiest sales culture I've ever seen, which was at a company in Philadelphia. And when I got there, this company was doing awesome. But like other great companies, what did they want to do? They wanted to go to the next level. And
yes,
you know what I'm saying? They didn't.
Yes.
90% of the time I get called, it's because someone needs help. This company didn't need help. They were freaking awesome. They were producing 2 to 3 times per person what the average in the industry was, but they wanted to get even better. And it was such a joy working there. And within 15 minutes of being in their office, I knew it was special. It was loud. It was energetic. The salespeople ruled the roost. Whiteboards everywhere. I got to watch them at a sales team meeting. I've never seen role play done as well or as brutally in terms of feedback as I saw it there. But it was acceptable because it was a culture of love, and it was like a winning locker room where they loved each other, but they picked on each other, where the owner of the company was also the sales manager, and he was brutal with his people, but he met with everybody one-on-one. He knew all their individual strengths and weaknesses and all of their individual goals, and he pushed them to win. And they were brutal about how they interviewed people and their onboarding process. The way they protected their culture was to keep out people that couldn't perform or that wouldn't get it. I mean, it was so stinking energizing. Go ahead. You want to talk about talent and culture and fit? Go.
No, this was, I agree with you. Like, you're spot on. I'm giving you love, baby. So I completely agree with what you're saying. So here's a belief I have, and I want you to riff on this. Culture exists regardless. Mm-hmm. You cannot not have a culture. So you have one of two choices. You have a default culture or a deliberate culture.
That's right.
So if you have a deliberate culture, then that means you have to actually build it. You can't default to it.
Right. And it starts from the top.
Okay, so talk to us. How does the sales team build a good, solid sales culture?
Well, this is a really hard one, but you need a leader that embodies that culture and lives it out. You can't. It's very, very hard, maybe impossible, to build a culture from the bottom. It's not one of these grassroots things. Everyone follows the leader. As goes the leader, so goes the organization. Said in the negative, as a lot of people like to say, the fish stinks at the head. You need You absolutely need someone who gets it at the top. And part of the problem is it's very hard to change a culture unless you change out some people. If you've got whiners and complainers and victims on your sales team, and that's how they're wired and they've lived their life, it's very hard to change those people unless you really do heavy coaching and set up a lot of rules to say, we're not going to operate that way anymore. So part of the way you build culture intentionally is you hire people that fit the culture that you want, and you have a leader that models it and breathes it, and it's authentic and it's real every day. I'm curious for your take on that.
So I agree with you, but I'm going to deviate slightly.
Yeah.
And I learned this through my years that you can have subcultures. Okay, and so you can have really, really good sales managers, sales directors, sales VPs. We'll stop there. And let's say, even if the other people suck, you can build a sales culture in your group that is like you've described. And I did this at a company about 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. It was called Intrado. So anybody's listening, you remember it. I was responsible for, at the time, Select sales, right? Vice President of sales for Select sales. The culture of our team became like famous inside the company. So I said, look, I can't control everybody else, but I control the people I hire, how we sell, the message I deliver. I can deflect them from the bullshit that's coming from down, and I can do that. So I want sales leaders and managers listening, if you live in a shitty culture, don't just throw your hands up.
You carved out your own little subculture.
Hell yeah.
Because you were you were the leader.
Yes,
you had the power to create that for the people in your own little environment. And I think that's absolutely possible.
Yes. And so I want people to understand that you have that power, and that you, as long as you're in the leadership role, whether it's as a sales manager or as a sales director, whatever, if you have people reporting to you and you're responsible for managing people, you can build a subculture that hopefully begins to spread out. You can be the seed.
That's good. Let me say this one thing on culture before we probably go somewhere else. I think you can have both in culture. You can have a fun, passionate, energizing, celebrating culture where hearts are engaged and people are encouraged and they're free to be themselves and all the stuff that draws people to want to work and win. At the same time, it can be kick-ass, focused on results, goal-driven, and not tolerant at all of underperformance. Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. You can have both. I think sometimes people think in today's politically correct world, you can't. And I hear all the time, we want collaborative team players. And I hear all these mushy HR people and these lost executives telling me who they want to hire. I'm like, you're crazy. We want freaking killers. We don't want pacifists. This is sales. This is the front line. We want to arm these people to go out and kill stuff, and we got to keep their hearts engaged. Like, this is your military. Don't get wussy on me. Yeah. Right?
Come work for me for a month. Poor Kira. I love her to death. Boy, she's learning this in a big way.
My getting thicker as we speak.
Yeah. Yes. So all right. So look, the culture is critical. I agree with you. You can create your own subculture, and folks, please be deliberate. You have any management position you get in. Ask yourself, what is the culture today? Is it what I want? If not, you need to be deliberate in changing it, because if not, you have a default culture, and a default culture is almost never what you want. All right, my man. So with that, then I want to talk about it's going to be a complete shift to left field, but it's one that a lot of people talk about. I want to talk about CRMs and what is the role of a CRM in a sales organization? Because in spite of all this, I'm a huge fan of CRMs, right? So talk to me.
You know, I'm not an expert here. I'll tell you my biggest frustration, then we can talk about the role. My biggest frustration is that in a lot of companies, it looks like the salespeople work for the CRM instead of the CRM working for the salespeople. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. And I and a lot of smaller companies where I go in, I hear executives say really silly things like, you know, we're kind of messed up and we don't really have our sales process nailed down and we got a lot of issues with things, but we just decided to bring in Salesforce and that's going to fix our problems. And I've come to the place where I look at them and go, let me tell you something. And I've got a one section in the chapter in the book on this that says this. Salesforce.com will fix your sales problems like having kids will fix a bad marriage. Okay? It only accelerates and makes your problems more in your face and overt. Like having kids does not make your marriage easier. So what's the job of CRM? I think, honestly, there are 2 or 3 main functions. increase visibility, help you run your sales process and keep track of stuff. And a good CRM also makes your life easier and more efficient so you can communicate more effectively with prospects and customers. So it's keeping your data. It's keeping you on top of stuff. It should be helping guide your sales process. It's increasing visibility up and down the chain and anyone in management and for yourself to see what's really going on. And it should be a tool that helps you do your job better. But
yes, it should be an enabler. Shouldn't it be an enabler?
Sure.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Talk. I mean, I'm not an expert in this, and there are so many folks in our arena that are really great with tools. I stay out of the advice. I just warn people, be careful. And, there's a lot of great, really simple, $25 a month CRM platforms out there that a lot of our clients use that love it. And you get all the way out to the, Salesforce is the 1,600-pound gorilla, and they got a phenomenal product, and they're experts. But there's a lot of choices. I just want to make sure people understand it doesn't solve your problems for you. It doesn't hire the right salespeople. It doesn't make customers come running to your door. It doesn't create leads. It doesn't fix your morale. All that stuff, compensation, you still got to deal with real sales issues, and don't think bringing in Salesforce is going to fix them. So that's fair, right?
Yeah, I think it's totally fair. I think what you said, and to summarize it, is CRM should be an enabler. It should allow you to do more with less. It should keep you from getting in trouble. But if you're using it as a way to fix things, or it becomes a weight, a ball and chain, you're using it wrong.
That's good.
All right. So Sir John Ryder sort of was tapping away here, and I like something he said. He says, learning to be and teach how to be more charismatic is often overlooked. So let's use that as a trigger to talk about, you spend a lot of time about coaching salespeople, and leadership isn't coaching them anymore, isn't riding with them anymore. Spend some time talking about this idea of how do we develop, teach, manage, support this engagement thing you talked about.
Well, doesn't it start with just spending time with people? I mean, is that how we mentor our kids, right, and our friends? Or, my wife and I are in a small group, and this is the first time in a while we're in a small group with a bunch of other couples, and they're all older than us. And it's such a treat because in the last time I've been in some groups like this, we were the oldest people, and we were mentoring. Now I'm watching couples that are dealing with their ailing, aging parents, and they're marrying off their kids, and all the different things they're going through, and I'm learning from them. Like I'm absorbing, I'm watching, and they're sharing their life with me. That's awesome. When I was a new young salesperson, my manager was my mentor. What did that mean? I mean, he spent time with me. He would come to my office and talk about sales, and he would ask me hard questions, and he would tell me, how things worked in the world, and show you how to pack your suitcase so your shirt wouldn't wrinkle, and where to get your shoes shined, usually in the St. Louis airport of all places. There's those things. The manager would go on sales calls, and he would sit in the car with you before you went in, and he'd help you practice, and he'd ask you hard questions about your objective for the call, and what's your plan for the call, and what role should I play, and how are we going to introduce this product, and who's our competitor, and just, the normal coaching, mentoring. And then sometimes mentoring would look like, well, you're in a tough situation, and the manager or the mentor would say, you know what, I'll take this one, you watch me, right? You watch me do it this time, and the next time you're going to do it. And then, so he would model it, and then you go out to lunch, like we would do when you're mentoring somebody, right? And he'd say, okay, what'd you see? How did that go? What did I do well? What could I have done differently? What did you learn from that? And then on the next sales call, I would do it. And then we'd go back out somewhere else, and he'd go, okay, how did it go? What'd you do well? What'd you learn? That's mentoring, right? So that's old days. Why can't we do that new days? So
I don't know. Why can't we?
I think we should. It's why I go back to saying, I think the number one high-value activity of a sales manager is one-on-one time with each of his salespeople, whether it's a 15-minute phone call, checking on results and pipeline, or it's an hour coaching session in the office, or traveling together. That's where mentoring takes place. It's sharing life. It's understanding people. It's modeling good behavior, or observing and coaching and giving feedback. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff, but it doesn't happen because everyone's busy and everyone's getting 250 emails a day, and we got CRM, and we got, as you said, fear and crazy ownership, and management doesn't get it. And the result is, but here's the thing, it's not just that it's not taking place. The consequence is we have ill-equipped salespeople that come across as amateurs. Because my question for sales managers, if you're not mentoring your salespeople, then who is? Sometimes you outsource it to Keenan, or to me, or to Anthony, or to Miles, or our friends in this business, and that's great. We bring a ton of value. We have great content. We're experts because we keep studying this stuff. but we can't be the mentor, right? Like I can only personally mentor so many people. It's your job. So what's your take?
So I completely agree with you 100%. 100%. So rather than you're the expert, right? I have my ideas, but I want to hear about from you. What can someone do to ensure the coaching gets done?
Take back control of your calendar. Just like we preach to salespeople, you must time block your high value activities, right? You're not going to prospect unless you put it in your calendar, carve out the time, keep the appointment, close down your other apps and email and whatever you're doing. And so you focus on what you're doing when you're in outbound mode. The same thing for the sales manager. Get your 30 and 90-day calendar out and block out time. I've worked with a lot of sales managers and helped them have less other meetings so they can spend more time doing coaching and mentoring. And that can happen in the one-on-one, and it can happen when you're working alongside somebody. But it doesn't happen unless you put it in your calendar.
So I got a request of you. I just had an idea, okay? Yeah. You got to do this now, and I'm giving you work, and you're going to be mad because you're busy enough.
I need work. I have nothing to do. Yeah.
I want you to create, and if you do this, we'll figure out a way to get you back on the show, to promote it, to make it happen. I want you to create a sales management assessment that scores sales managers.
Okay.
Right? On the things that you're talking about. I don't want some big freaking, yellow, green, blue, you're this, blah, blah, blah bullshit. I want some questions around the stuff that's in here. Like I can already envision it. It says, how often do you coach your salespeople? Once a week, twice a day. And then another one, how do you define coaching? As we're going over the numbers or riding with them, right? Another one that says something like, do you actually block it in your calendar or not? And then create a scoring and send the shit back to people and say, you're a 3, fix it.
Yeah, it's good.
Right? This would be awesome.
I like the assignment. And that fits in with some other things I'm working on right now because I really have a passion and a heart. And even if this had nothing to do with revenue, I want to see the sales management thing fixed because it's killing salespeople. And the truth is, at heart, Jim, I'm really not a manager. I'm a salesperson. I bleed sales. I'm proud to say it. So my bias and my filter as I go into organizations is I'm really looking at stuff as a top salesperson. And I want to see salespeople win. I think sales is hugely important. It doesn't get the respect it should. So I want to fix the sales management thing. And part of what I need to do in my own business, because when you're one guy, you can only consult so many companies, right? And have so much reach. I need some offerings that they're in the works right now for individuals that can buy small packages and subscriptions and some programs to get assessed, to get a plan, to get a little once a month phone call to get checked in on, because there's things that we can do to spread this deeper, because obviously the message from this book is resonating. I am freaking shocked at the number of reviews in just a couple months that are out there. I think within 3 months, I'm going to have the most reviewed pure sales management book on the market. And it's not because I'm so freaking smart. It's because it's so broken and everybody wants help in this area. And someone had to tell the truth. I felt like.
But you know what's so funny?
Oh.
You know what I think is so funny?
I think his.
Oh, did I lose me?
Just repeat it, Jim. Just repeat it.
What drives me insane is everybody's like, "Ooh, I want this help, but it's broken." Well, they're the reason it's broken. So it's like, oh my God, what do you mean you need help from Mike? You're the reason it's broken. How do you not get that? It blows my mind sometimes. It's like, hello.
Oh, Jim. Well, then that's why, and this is the weird thing that you and I and our friends in this business understand. Very often, I'm giving the same information and the same feedback and sharing observations with a senior executive when I'm consulting them that they already have from their own people. But the difference is I'm a genius because I don't work there. If I worked there, I would be making excuses. Because when they hear it from their people, well, that can't be right. I take what I'm watching from their own people and what I observe with my own eyes, and I go back with the mirror and I show the executive, I go, here's the problem. And they go, that is exactly the problem. And I think, you didn't know this? I can't believe you're paying me to tell you this. So there's some awkward dynamic where when you're from the out, the prophet's not welcome in his own home and nobody wants to hear from their subordinate employee that things are broken. So Sometimes you need to bring an outsider in to tell you the truth and give you just a simple framework to adjust it. I mean, it's a very odd dynamic of consulting and being the outside expert. Don't you feel that way?
I completely feel that way. And it was funny to hear you say that because there was an instance in my career where I was actually hired as a senior sales leader in a fairly small funded startup, and the idea was to support them and help get the sales going. The dual role, though I didn't have people reporting to me. And within 2 months, I went out at a big meeting, and I said to him, hey, this part of the business you're trying to get is not going to work. Here's why. These are the problems. I remember the CEO looked me right in the eye, and yes, I'll call him out Kyle Meyer. He goes, you're just not selling hard enough. You're afraid you can't sell it. So I was like, you know what? I'm out. He was surprised I left. I left. Ask me if that part of the business is still there.
Nope.
Ask me if he was man enough to call me up and say, you know what, Jim, I'm sorry to listen to you. You were right. Right? No. So I completely agree with you that for some reason, sales management and leadership, when sales comes to them and says the product is broken or the marketing isn't working or this, their immediate knee-jerk reaction is, they're coming up with excuses because they can't sell. They can't sell. Well, if you had your hand on the trigger, you would know if they could sell or not, number one. And number two, if you knew that, then you'd know if it was bullshit or was actually real, and you better go fix it.
Dude, preach, because it's both. This is why I say it happens all the time when I do an engagement. Jim, you're so spot on, it's even hard to explain it. Because we got to do both parts. When I go into a company and I'm doing ongoing coaching and I'm doing some training with the sales team and consulting the leaders, whatever, I'm doing both things. I'm equipping the salespeople to do their job better, right, by giving them the skills and the framework and the story and the prospecting weapons and how to run a sales call. But at the same time, we're shining the light of accountability on them to make sure that they're actually doing the things that we asked them to. And we're looking deeper at the pipeline and deeper at sales reports and doing better management. You got to do both. So it's like, because I think what happens in the story you described, the manager only wants to look at it one way. Because I think he only wants to point the finger. Those freaking salespeople, they're bums, they're reactive, they're too young, they're millennials, they're this, they're that, they're greedy, they're lazy, they want to lead, like all the whining. They only sell on price. I mean, we can make a whole list here. And you know what? There is partial truth in all of those frustrations that executives have. A lot of that's going on. But what's happened is they have this wall up and they don't let the other arrows come back their way that goes, well, hey, we're not really equipped with the things that you want us to sell. And I see this in a lot of entrepreneurial companies. Hey, Mr. Entrepreneur, you know what? Every week our strategy changes, and I'm not even sure who I should be calling on tomorrow. You know how hard it is for a salesperson in an entrepreneurial company where the owner or the chief or the founder is always thinking of a new thing and not exactly sure what offer.
I don't know, Kira. What's it like?
Yeah, you never had that, right?
Yeah, no, what's it like, Kira?
I've never seen a successful new business development sales attack when the sales team wasn't given clear direction. We don't want salespeople making it up every day. They're not strategists. They're supposed to execute. So you got all these things that owners and leaders of companies and executives do. They need the feedback. It goes both ways. We want to hold the salespeople accountable, but someone's got to hold the executives and the management accountable.
Yeah. Accountability is a two-way street.
I nominate myself.
All right, good. I like that. All right, so folks, we're going to keep going, but we have opened up the seat. So if you want to jump in and join us, if you have a question, I have to unlock it. Is it unlocked? It's open, right?
It's good.
Oh, yeah, it's open. So just click on the little, open space of the three of us and join us like the four-way Brady Bunch. Ask your question. You can chat. You can talk to Mike. You can almost touch him and feel him. It's all warm and fuzzy in here. So if you want to jump in. Boom. Woo, shaka baby. All right, so until someone comes on with a question and wants to join us, my next.
Talk about compensation. You
want to talk compensation?
I saw those. One of the things I saw in your notes that you thought something in the book. I just want to make a statement. I just want your reaction. I'm going to ask you the question here. How about that? My thing I discovered a couple years ago, and I'm taking credit for it because when I did the Google search, no one else has said it this way. Compensation and complacency start with the same four letters.
I love that. I highlighted the hell out of it.
I didn't even know that until I typed them both into a PowerPoint slide for this big meeting I was doing for a bunch of CEOs. And I'm like, holy crap, compensation, complacency. So why do companies not spend more time looking at what behaviors and results they're driving with the comp plans they put together? And my bias is always new business. And what drives me nuts is that there's a lot of silly comp plans that don't drive salespeople to do the hard work to find more new business. They're paid either for babysitting accounts that were acquired years ago, or the comp plan's so convoluted they can't even figure out how much money they're going to make. So I'm just curious, what drives you crazy about comp, and what are you seeing? Because I think this is a big issue that nobody really wants to tackle.
I think comp is a huge problem. I wrote something like this on Fred Wilson's blog a while back. Thank you, Fred. It helped bolster the popularity of my blog. But I believe the problem with comp plans is twofold, but primarily one is what 80-20. The first one is most companies start out to build a comp plan with all the best intentions, right? But what happens is somewhere in that process, it starts moving away from motivating the salespeople to protecting the company. They start building these comp plans to focus on the outliers. Well, what if they do this, or what if this, or what if that? So next thing you've got a comp plan that's built to keep someone from manipulating it, the one person that may spend their life trying to manipulate. So you do all this shit to prevent something from happening, which moves you completely away from the idea of a simple comp plan that incents them to go do what you want them to do. And I think that's the problem.
Okay, so I totally agree with you. In fact, I would go as far as saying I want outliers. One of my biggest complaints about compensation plans is they're too flat. This is what the top guy makes, and this is what the bottom guy makes. That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I want a huge delta between the top and bottom guy. I want the guy in the bottom to be uncomfortable, hungry, either changing behavior or deselecting himself. And I want the gal on the top to be so overcompensated because she's killing it. She would never think about leaving. She knows she's loved and appreciated. Why would we ever want to put the thought in her head that the losers in the sales team are making almost as much money as her? That's so stupid. I want to overpay top people, and I want to starve underperformers.
Yes.
And in today's politically correct world and egalitarian, that's not a popular theory. I mean,
I haven't seen that part. It's interesting. I haven't seen that part, but I like where you're going.
Some of my larger clients that do territory management and it's just very flat, a lot of base, not a lot of commission, and there's no difference between the top and bottom. I'm like, it's crazy. It does the exact opposite. You're encouraging your best people to think about leaving, and you're making it too comfortable for your underperformers.
Yes.
It's dumb.
Completely agree with you. Completely agree. So we're on the same page. And I think the other thing that, as our boy Kelly Riggs pointed out, the sales organization hasn't stopped to ask themselves, what is it they want them to do? What do they want them to send up? Where is the business going? What does the business need? I'm a big fan of changing a comp plan every year because I believe businesses go through changes and mature. So if one particular year, in order to make your numbers, you need 2,000 new logos, then the comp plan had better be heavily incented towards new logos.
Right.
If another one is I have a new product coming out, I need this new product to happen, then the comp plan needs to support the rolling out of this new product. You just need that alignment. I think too many times organizations just miss that boat.
No, good salespeople work the comp plan, and the best salespeople work it really hard. So be smart about what you're incenting people to do. It's not rocket science.
They follow the dollars. If you have, it reminds me of that State Farm commercial. Like, ooh, you almost got it. You almost got it. If you have 3 fishing rods hanging out the back of your sales organization, and one's got $1 on it, another one's got a $10, another one's got $100, nobody's going to be chasing that line with $1 on it.
That's correct.
That's your comp plan, people. That's your comp plan.
Well done.
All right, I'm surprised we got no one jumping in because we had people.
We got a lot of people watching.
I know. I'm surprised. All right, so I like this one thing you have here about hero versus be the hero, make the hero. This is one I love. Tell everybody, be a hero, make a hero.
This is a hard one, Jim. It's particularly hard for guys that got promoted out of top sales roles into management. But I see some high ego sales managers that have been around a long time that do this too. I think the sales manager that wants to be the hero, who inserts himself or herself into every deal, who wants their fingerprints on all the proposals, who takes the credit for big deals instead of deflecting the credit and the glory to the salesperson, absolutely kills performance. I mean, it's funny, how ego in some ways in a salesperson is very helpful. We want really confident, people that want to be recognized publicly in sales roles. When you get into management, you don't win on your own, you win through your people. And right? So, and even on sports teams, look at the best baseball managers. When their teams win the game, they don't run out on the field. And they let their players go run out in the field, and they jump up and down, and they're the ones on television, and the manager sits back and admires what his team is doing. I'm almost getting the chills, saying that. That's what the manager's job is.
We see that a lot in New England. We've seen that a lot in New England.
Yeah. All right, go Patriots. So the risk is we have sales managers that want to be the hero, and I stole this concept directly from a woman named Liz Wiseman. She's got a book called Multipliers, phenomenal leadership book that boils down to this very simple result that she and the folks at Stanford that researched this book with her did. There's two kinds of leaders, multipliers and diminishers. The multiplier is the boss that engages your heart and your mind, gives you a challenge and equips you to go get it done, doesn't tell you what to do and how to do it. He gets the most out of you. You'll kill for that person. Okay? The diminisher is the opposite kind of leader who not only wants to be the smartest guy in the room, but tells you he's the smartest guy in the room, tells you what to do and exactly how to do it. Right now you're dividing leaders in your life into those two buckets. We've all have both of those. I stole that concept, giving her full credit, because it's a phenomenal book. And that's where I came up with the hero or hero maker, because she calls it genius or genius maker in her book. And my challenge for sales managers is, are you trying to be the hero or are you trying to make heroes? Mm-hmm. Because if you're trying to be the hero, you will kill the morale of your team. You will squash their hearts. You're going to lose their energy. It's terrible, especially in places where there are selling managers who are stealing good deals for themselves, and they're trying to feed themselves and they're taking food off the table of their salespeople. That's deadly. The job of a great leader, a great sales manager, is to turn his people or her people into heroes. Invest in them, win through them. You take the bullets for them. You don't throw them under the bus. You get in the way of the bus and protect them. Think how people would respond emotionally if they were treated that way. That's great leadership.
It's phenomenal. And I can't remember where I wrote this. I've written so much shit in my day. I can't remember where I put half the stuff. But someone quoted me not too long ago and reminded me that I wrote this. I said, the job of a leader, I think it's one of my short 1-minute clips. I said, the job of a leader, of a great leader, is they get more out of somebody that somebody can get out of themselves. Right? So even people like yourself who are totally driven and motivated, and you've accomplished amazing things. There are leaders, and I think the first guy you ever had was an example of that. He got more out of you than you could have got without him. And I think
by a huge factor.
Yes.
And that's why I pay for coaching myself, because you can't coach yourself. No. And a good leader understands you and where you're good and helps covers up your weaknesses and expands on your gifts and challenges you.
Yes. And so I love this idea. Now I'm going to toss this out to folks in our last few minutes before we wrap up here. I think the difficulty, and this is just an assessment, so anybody wants to chime in, I think the difficulty is the gray in the matter, in the middle, right? So I know for my own personal self, the hardest part for me, I'll let her throw me under the bus if she wants, is I try to get more out of people as well. What happens, or the difficulty is if you see more in them than they see in you, or they're not where you'd like them to be. So the idea is, how do I build them up? How do I get them going without doing that other piece, right? But without being, that's the hard piece, right? That's the hard piece.
It is. And that leads, let me bring up something that wasn't even on my mind, but the way you said that made me think about it. A lot of managers get caught in the trap of only investing time in their underperformers and their problem children. And my dad taught me this at a young age, and he was right. We can get a lot more lift sometimes by investing in our top people. Don't ignore your top producers. You can get a whole lot more sales by clearing the runway for them and removing their obstacles and supporting them. They're the ones that know how to sell and what to do with the coaching. And that aligns with what I see in a lot of my clients, where when I go in, sometimes it's the mediocre or underperformers that kind of hide. And they don't want me to look at what they're doing, and they don't really want you to pull back the covers because they're insecure. And you know who wants the coaching? The best people. The people that can help you lead. Say again?
I said the people who want it, the people who want to get better. They're the real performers.
Right. And oftentimes those are the top people, because they're not insecure. They're like, look at me. I'll get naked. Where are my warts? Tell me what other people are doing to win. That's the difference, right?
You know what I like to do? What I like to do is, and feel free to have this because I think you're gonna like this. I don't break it down by top performers and bottom performers. And you're gonna just be interesting. I break it down with greatest upside.
That's good.
So I have top performers who are like, they're tapped out. So I'm gonna make sure they don't fall, but they're tapped out. I can see it already, right? So I'm not gonna spend much time on them. I have other top performers that are just scratching the surface, so I'm going to spend some time because there's room to get them to grow. And I see bottom performers who are tapped out. I'm getting rid of them, but I'm not spending time there. But I see bottom performers who have room to grow. So that's where I focus, not top and bottom, but where's the upside? And that's
what if salespeople, not only if sales managers took your advice, but what I preach a lot is to salespeople. What if they segmented their customer base the same way you just segmented the salespeople, and actually spent time on their harder customers, but the ones that were most growable, instead of just doing a milk run or babysitting their friends. Think about that. Because I see a lot of salespeople. I see these salespeople spend so much time managing existing accounts that are buying from them anyway. They're not growable. Go spend your time on the hard accounts where you only have a small percent of the business or huge cross-sell opportunity. So yeah, that same principle, that's brilliant. That was great.
Focus on potential, right? Focus on potential. So with that, guys, we are coming to the end of our first Blab. It was awesome. I really enjoyed this. Mike, was it what you hoped for?
We didn't talk about your book, so it wasn't exactly what I hoped for.
Good.
I just want to say, first of all, I love you, and I'm thankful for you, and I love how you make fun of me on Twitter, and you beat my ass at fantasy football, and good luck to the Broncos in your hometown and your Patriots from where you're from. Jim, I am just about done. I mean, it's so short. It should have taken me 3 weeks to read this book. This is so powerful and so sick. This reminds me of things I learned from David Meerman Scott at a conference before I understood the internet and social media. It was a wake-up call from Michael Hyatt and his book Platform. There's so much power in here for today's people that don't understand how much has changed in the world, and no one's teaching them. And I'm very close, by the way, to you. I cannot wait to write this up. So stay tuned. Thank you for writing that book.
Thank you, my man. I very much appreciate it.
Yeah, the world. A lot of people need to read this. So.
Thank you. So I'm doing my best to get it in a lot of hands. I believe it too. I'm excited about it. So you have been fantastic, by the way, in helping me learn, having be on your second book in the Wild Success Strategy, the first one. So let me thank you for that guidance and mentorship. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's fun to share, man. It's the more people read good stuff, the better we're all going to be. And
Amen.
This, Jim. There are folks in our business that have been so generous to us, sharing their platform, sharing their ideas. It's so much fun. Because I had my book out before you to learn from it and just pass it along. That's what we need to do for each other. There's a lot of opportunity to continue this community and just be generous. So I appreciate you. Thanks for this chance to talk about sales management and my book and all that. You're the best.
Thank you. Listen, to everybody else, look, today is a new world. It's platforms like this, how you can learn. When I was younger and when Mike was younger, we didn't have these platforms. We didn't have access to this. So people, if you're listening on iTunes, you're watching on YouTube, tell your friends, share it. This is a gift of the information age that we have, that those of us who grew up in the industrial age didn't get. So embrace it, get on it, and get engaged. So thank you very much, everybody. Kiki, thank you as always. You did a wonderful job of managing the show and keeping us on track and getting involved. Mike, as always, I wish you the best of luck with this. Everybody, again, it is Sales Management Simplified. You need to read it. It's broken into 2 parts, what the problem is and what I love best, how to fix that problem. Do yourself a favor until Mike comes out with his assessment, which he's going to do. Assess your own organization. Build your own mental assessment in your head and be honest, be truthful with yourself. Where does your team stack up? Where do you stack up? What is your sales culture, and how are you going to fix it? Because odds are you need to. So with that, Michael, thank you very much, my man. Thank you, Kiki. And to everybody out there on the Word, 2 weeks from today, see us then on Blab. Until next time, peace. I'm out.
So just chill till the next episode.